meta layer is really just the name we have in the white paper for this very large collection of decentralized Oracle networks. So once you arrive at a very large collection of different decentralized services that are provided on an individual basis by their own specific decentralized Oracle network providing its own service, whether that's about a specific piece of data or about a certain randomness computation, or about whatever the service that the decentralized Oracle network provides, I think you arrive at a kind of set of building blocks that can actually be clicked together in this decentralized meta layer to provide greater and greater functionality to smart contracts. And for example, right now, we already have certain users of the Chainlink network utilizing both the decentralized Oracle networks as a data source for price data, and they're also using it for proof of reserves, right? They're also using it to prove things about an asset and its current status through API queries about the asset's kind of custody provider and the status of the asset, right? I think we're already seeing this, even with the limited amount of services that Chainlink provides today. We're basically seeing people combine different decentralized Oracle networks as inputs and as outputs from a single smart contract. And I think really what they're going to be interacting with in this large combination of services is just going to be the decentralized meta layer. And the decentralized meta layer is going to enable this advanced orchestration between all the world's data, all the world's computations, and the smart contracts that define the contractual conditions of how the entire world operates. And I think that'll also extend to the need for enterprise systems to control contracts and interact with contracts in a scalable, highly reliable way. So I think the reason it's called the meta layer is because it basically sits between the blockchain world and smart contracts and all of the interactions that those smart contracts would need to have with the real world. And that includes connecting to an enterprise backend. It includes connecting to a data source. It includes sending a payment somewhere. It includes, verifying that something happened with a package. It includes all of those interactions, and each of them is going to be defined through this kind of singular service that's on chain, that's one of thousands and possibly eventually one of millions of services that I think, just like there are multiple APIs going into a Web 2.0 application, you're going to see multiple oracles and Oracle networks utilized by a smart contract. And the more complicated and the more advanced and the more value generating the contract is through more advanced and complicated use cases, I think the more that the services in the decentralized meta layer will become critical to it properly operating. And the meta layer really has this initial goal of providing all these services, and then eventually it has a goal of you being able to define a hybrid smart contract within the decentralized meta layer, and then the decentralized meta layer should allow you to put the on-chain code you need into whatever blockchains you need. It could even be multiple blockchains. And then it should also allow you to interact with all the off-chain systems that you need to orchestrate activity around with all those contracts. And I think what we're going towards is contracts that are more advanced in how they interact with the real world. And so the orchestration of all that activity, in addition to the orchestration of activity across different chains that have different pieces of data for the contract or different payment outcomes or different custody outcomes from the contract, all of that needs to be orchestrated somewhere in addition to the contract code itself, right? So the contract code itself will continue to live on various blockchains, and it will continue to play this key critical role of composability, value transfer, transparency, some version of voting and governance. And then it will need to interact with other contracts and other chains. It will need to interact with data sources. It will need to interact with payment systems. And all of that in orchestration will happen in the decentralized meta layer under its own set of rules that are going to actually need to live in some cohesive way across different decentralized Oracle networks. And that's going to be the goal of the meta layer, is simplifying that orchestration across different contracts, across different chains, across different services to create these what I imagine will be very, very advanced, very, very complicated hybrid smart contracts that can prove their security both from the point of view of the chains that they're on and from the point of view of the different services that they're relying on through the decentralized meta layer.